Yeah, it's over. But then, you know, I was like, okay, maybe we shouldn't do comedy at a sweaty nightclub where people just want to pop their the gays want to get their D, the girls want to take Instagram photos. You know, we learn. We live and learn.
Hello, hello, hello. I am Joey Nolfi with Entertainment Weekly, talking here today with the cast of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15. I'm here with a queen whose name suggests sweetness and charm and everything nice, but we're going to find out today if that's what she's really serving or if she's going to be the spicy one who heats up Untucked, maybe.
Right. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you're speaking to the Untucked queen. We don't know.
We don't know. Is it going to stay in New York? Is it going to go to a different city? We have no idea where the Untucked
I was
going.
born on Long Island, so New Yorker at heart. I live in LA now, so I mean, I guess it would stay in New York if it was with me. So.
You can't take. I caught how you said Long Island. You tried to not have it with the accent, but it came out a little bit.
That's why I can't hang around my family. I'm like, oh my god, like my sister, she's like water, and like,
Dorter.
My dad, like growing up, he would be like, get off the goddamn computer. Like he was from Staten Island, and he'd be like, no fooling by the stairs, boy. And I'm like, wow, I'm so lucky and grateful I don't sound like that.
I like the contrast, though, of the voice and this look today, because, I mean, the look does not seem like that voice is going to come out of that mouth.
Yeah.
No, you and Spice are the first biological sibling pair to compete in Drag Race history. I love it. So whose idea was it to audition, though? Was it one of you or, like, both of you?
You know what? We would go, so when we were on Long Island, up until, like, literally a few months ago, we made the big move. We would go on magical bike rides, we like to call it, because, you know, being in the suburbs, being stuck in your room, there's not exactly the girls and gays there. You need your safe space.
True.
So if we weren't in our room, we would go on our bike rides. And I remember like years ago, we were on a bike ride and, because we had been watching Drag Race, but I was like, oh, that's not for me. Because I loved the show, but it was almost like I wasn't facing who I truly was. I'm like, yeah, I relate to these people. I am that. That's me. But I was not accepting myself, and you know, it's like a journey or whatever. Yeah. But we would go on those bike rides, and we were like, you know what? Drag really interests us because it's everything we love. You know, we kind of had a tendency, I'll speak for we, because it's a joint experience for both of us, to sell ourselves short a little bit, where I think a lot of queer kids can relate to this. It's like, you know, we loved our dolls, so we would take photos of our dolls. And then in high school, we were like, well, that's not socially accessible. You need a career, you know, like they're going to college, do something. So like, okay, we'll do fashion photography. We'll just start shooting people. So it's so fun in high school. We were like glamming up all like the girls in our high school, like going to like the dance and like we were taking like their photos. We had like a photography account on Instagram. It was nice because these girls were like dropping their hot pics for like the guys and you know, we were turning them into these little superstars. But we never saw that for us.
For yourselves, yeah.
We were like, oh no, we're gonna, you know, I'm very much, there's, have you seen the movie Aquamarine?
With JoJo? JoJo's
Yes.
in that? I have not seen it, but I do know that JoJo's in it.
Add it to the list. My friends always say I'm like the starfish she has in the movie, so if you haven't seen it, the mermaid in the movie, she wears starfish, and they're real, and they would just like feed her compliments all day. So they're like, oh my god, you're like my little like baby starfish. You know, I used to be like, why am I so vocal about speaking my mind or giving a compliment or like if something nice comes to my head? But it's like, I don't know, I wasn't given that, so you kind of give what you didn't get.
Yes.
So it's like that followed through with taking the photos, glamming up the girls, and you're putting everyone else first. And then, you know, once you go on that journey, I'm like, well, also like me and my mantra is spiritual sugar jumping out. Not us asking the one question, it's like, sweetie, like we're writing the damn novel. It's like, we just wanted to know if you watched the show or how you auditioned.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is the most creative answer to whose idea was it to audition
this is
for
good.
Drag
I like
Race?
never talk to people, so like the second like I start talking, it's like,
no, this is
it's like
great.
Niagara
I
Falls.
love this.
It's just
this is
like
great.
a waterfall, baby, just like steamrolling. But you know, I forgot what was going on.
I love this. No, I love this. So was it Sugar or Spice that said, let's audition for Drag Race?
You know, it's like, did the egg or the chicken cross the street?
True.
Is that the thing?
True.
It was probably just like a discussion we had together. But I remember on that magical bike ride when we had discussed it, we're like, will we go on that show? We came back and we're like, no. I was like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't even a question of going on the show. It was we wanted to start doing drag.
Yeah.
But we couldn't do it in our house. I was like, oh no. To be a baby queen is so vulnerable. And then to do it in your childhood bedroom, in your childhood home, that was really nerve-wracking to us. So we kept putting it off. We were like, oh no, well, we can. Like, you know when you're about to like start up like a new job or like say someone wants to start taking videos, whatever it is. Like, well, I don't have the expensive camera or, oh no, I'll start going on dates when I lose weight or it's like, I had enough. I was like, I'm done waiting. I am going to wait my whole life by like, oh, once I finally get out to LA and I'm out of this house, I can do drag. It's like, we woke up one day and I was like, I'm done.
You're just gonna do it.
And it was scary as hell. And I look back and I'm like, how did we have the courage to do that? And you know, at the time then we were like putting ourselves out there online and I'm like, I think you just reach like a threshold or a breaking point. Or I like to say it wasn't a breakdown, it was a breakthrough.
Oh, that is
so yeah. Beautiful. Kelly Ben Simone, Housewives, if you love that.
So who do you think then, so getting on the show, who is the more competitive between the two of you?
These are the good questions. I'll speak for myself. I'm not really a competitive person. I have very high standards for myself.
Of course.
It only has to do with me because your relationship with you is the most important. And that has really calmed me these past few years as I've been like learning about myself and just like, you know, like developing and being a human. It's like, wow, that's really freeing knowing that you have complete control with yourself and like you don't have to, like other people in other situations doesn't interfere with your relationship with you. So it's like no matter where you go, no matter what situation that you're in, your peace is with yourself. So it's like even in a competition setting, I'm not even thinking about anyone else because then I'm like not valuing my own opinion and thoughts.
But you do have, I mean, it had to have been tough to settle into a dynamic of your career is so closely intertwined with a sibling and then you get on set and you have to separate yourself from that bond. So what was that like? Did it take a few episodes for you to, well actually we don't want to spoil, but like did it take some time maybe for you to fully get comfortable with removing yourself from that bond and being like, I'm competing on my own?
You know what it is? Because we don't feel like we're competing with each other, but I was so used to it, like just like walking in, because I'm like, oh, we've been compared our whole lives. You know, it's like the twin thing, like people come up to you like, what's the difference? And it's always like some random insult. They're like, oh, you have like the fatter butt. And you're like, oh.
People say that kind of stuff to you?
Well, no, like, I mean, I'm just like pulling things out of like a thin air. It's normally like, oh, you have like, your like nose is slightly bigger. I remember when I was younger, I was like the chunkier one, I guess. So it's like uncles, they'd be like, oh, you're like the chubbier one. And I'm like, I am. So, you know, like, you're just, and like, you know, it would go back and forth. So you're just used to being compared.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, this is perfect for me because I don't take it to heart, you know, because I'm used to it.
Well, what do you think you want? Because again, I mean, I don't mean to make this all about you and your sibling, but I mean, what is it, because your careers are so closely intertwined, what do you want people to see about you as an individual artist on Drag Race versus just this pair?
It's weird because going in, it's like, it's that sibling thing, it's that family thing. So, you know, we joke like, oh, like, you're only as good as the less hot twin. I always say you're only as hot as like the less hot sister. Like, you know, she has to be just as good as me. Because like, what if people think like I'm spice and like she's hot boo boo garbage? And like, I don't want people to think I'm hot boo boo garbage.
Never.
I've been saying that all week, by the way. I get phrases and it just comes to me like I'm just like
garbage.
Hot boo boo garbage. Someone said it. I don't know. Someone said it. But what were you talking about? I will be from here to there. It's like, you know when you're friends with people for a really long time and you have like a million conversations going at once, but somehow we get the vibes. Like it's a vibe.
I think we're getting the answer to who Sugar is as an artist in this interview. No, so what do you want people to see about you?
Me.
Individually as an artist and drag queen on Drag Race?
You know, I think I tend to take myself not seriously and, you know, it's all like fun and games and stuff. And, you know, I think people, they see me on TikTok and they see the character like, oh my God, where's Sugar? And, you know, I think it'll be interesting for people to see me just without that. You know, just like, I don't know, and it's a thing I'm like working on because it's, you know, even with drag, it's like, this is an armor. This is, yes, It's so interesting because it's like, yes, when you see me in drag, you're speaking to me in drag, you're viewing my art, that's the most personal, vulnerable thing to me.
Of course.
But at the same time, it's also a barrier. Because it's like, the real me is sweatpants, chilling, hair tied with no makeup on, like, well, Spice is the one that, she has the bluntification.
Oh, okay.
I just had the vacation. But, I don't know, it's kind of scary to, like, just be yourself.
Yeah.
I don't, like, is that, like, weird to say, like, as an adult? But, like...
No, especially if you're doing it, I mean, you're competing as an individual on a national television show.
Right.
That's a big thing to, make that separation from. I mean, you're competing together, but you're an individual competing.
Yeah, and it's like, just getting older, I'm realizing it's really important for me to have my own life, to make my own friends, my own connections. Just like going into this competition, my goal is to connect with everyone separately. Because it's really easy as a twin to just be the accessory piece.
Right.
Like, it wasn't until a few years ago the spiritual sugar will come out, but it's like, I had, I guess, like a spiritual awakening, I guess, and I woke up from just, I've been sleeping for a while, right? So she woke up. And ever since then, I was like, oh my God, all of my friendships have just been with Spice.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad, but I hadn't hung out with friends solo, just by myself. And that's not really good when building connections, because when it's very different. Say there was another person with us right now, it'd be a very different dynamic than just one-on-one looking into someone's eyes. So I kind of learned that lesson. I'm like, I'm going in, and yes, we're twins, and people are like, oh, Sugar and Spice. But it's like, no, I want people to get to know me for me outside of that.
Yeah, no.
And same with judging everything.
Yeah, no, I'm really interested to see how that plays out. Your fashion is very inspired by the 90s and 2000s.
Yes.
So why is the Y2K era so appealing to you, and why is that something that you want to, you think you wanted to translate specifically for the medium that you found success in online?
You know what it is, and I'm probably like a broken record at this point, but drag it's the most selfish thing I've ever done, and thank God. I've never been selfish before. It's like you're constantly putting others first. You're, like, being a twin, and I think Spice is the same way, you're used to being overly concerned about the person next to you. And it's exhausting being like, how are people perceiving me, which is not good to do. But then, how are people perceiving my other half?
Right.
And it's like, doing drag, for me, it's to connect to my younger self, my childhood.
Yeah.
You know? So my childhood was the early 2000s, the 90s, my dolls, just everything. Like right now, I mean, y'all can't see the look, but this is more of like a Bridget Bardot, kind of more of like a vintage look.
So this is a little different for
It's a little different. She's giving soft, but it's inspired by a doll I had. So like people...
Is it a Bratz doll?
Yes, it is a Bratz doll, but she was giving like... It was like a birthday party doll, like Sugar's going to a birthday party, you're invited. But she had like the big hair and it was very like vintage, you know, so I don't discriminate, like we love all dolls here.
Of course.
So it's fun.
So we all know that you perform on TikTok for a digital audience, but how do you think you adapt that, having come up in the drag scene for a digital audience, translating that to live performance? What is a live performance like for you?
And a little secret about us is we have been live performing since like 5th grade. We were secretly the little theater kids. Like I remember my 5th grade show, it was Susical, and I was like, Courtney, here's a Hugh. Hugh, who? And I remember I was like, you couldn't tell me anything. A star was born. People were coming up to me. They were like, wow, you gave. And I was like, I know. And I think Spice was like the little mare. And I just loved it. It was like, because, I don't know. I think you just know, you're like, yeah, I'm that girl. Like secretly. But also I think everyone has to have that moment, no matter who you are, no matter what you look like. Like everyone has to have that moment at least once where you look into the mirror and you're like, am I secretly a supermodel? Like with the right lighting, the right angle.
Anyone can.
There has to be that, like everyone has that moment, you know? So might as well just like always make that moment.
So live shows for you in drag are?
Like performing, like when I was in middle school and
Very
through
much
all the
like
shows.
Yes.
You know, like I was that person where I remember I was like, me like citing the shit I was in dead. But I remember I would get like a small line. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna make this the moment. I'd be ad-libbing, I'd be going on. They're like, sweetie, stick to the script. I'm like, there's no small parts, only small actors. So it's just fun to be crazy. Everyone's so serious. So drag queens love to be serious. If you couldn't tell, it's like, I'm bored. Like literally, I just want to like shake someone, like just like yell, like scream, like fart, like I don't know. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you could honestly just do this on a stage on a Friday night in a club and just sit here and talk, and you would be like, I mean, you'd be getting tips on tips on tips. You are so entertaining.
Thank you. I mean, me and Spice made that mistake. Our first performance, watch it on YouTube. It was a mess because we decided it was a hole in the wall in Brooklyn. We're like, everyone come to our first show, and it was like after COVID era. So it was packed, punches were being thrown, the security was called, yeah, there was it was just really overpacked. But like the bar owner was like, ooh, I'm making all my money back from COVID. So I was like, but me and Spice were upstairs like practicing our little thing. But we wanted to do comedy on the mic. We came out, but then the mic wasn't working.
Wrong crowd.
It was sweatier than like a whore in church. The makeup came off, I looked into the mirror after, it was like the damn Crypts keeper. I was like, oh, well, I'm just, you know the Jasmine Masters line where she's like, Wendy's, hi, hello, are you hiring? McDonald's, hi, are you accepting any applications? That was me after that performance. I was like, yeah, it's over. But then, you know, I was like, okay, maybe we shouldn't do comedy at a sweaty nightclub where people just want to pop their pussy, the gays want to get their D, the girls want to take Instagram, but you know, we learn, we live and learn.
And this is where we've gotten today. I cannot wait to see how this translates to the cameras for Drag Race Season 15. Sugar, thank you so much for being here with me today, and stay tuned for more from the cast of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 15.